Welcome. Our theme tonight is Accentuate the Positive. We are surrounded by individuals who are working towards making our world a better place. Yet, when we pick up the paper, turn on the news, use our cell phones or computers, we hear and see the spotlight on the negative. All the good nonprofits and individuals are doing is not front page news. In fact, it is practically not there. Currently, nationwide, people are focusing on the Super Bowl. Daily, people are cheering them on, but give me a break. They have a lot of resources, great publicity, and a rather simple goal. I know maybe you don't agree, but get the football over the goal line. The person who accomplished this does a little dance, and everyone cheers. However, it is people here tonight who are the real superheroes. Our goals are far more complicated. Equity in education, eliminating hopelessness, racism, poverty, peace, you name it. I imagine each person here is doing something to address the need. One cannot buy the level of caring and commitment that exists in this room. This conference is truly created and run by volunteers, and all workshop leaders are donating their time. We are deeply grateful. Tonight alone, we have over 125 volunteers. In celebration of the volunteers, the board members, staff, and community members, and everyone is here. Let's give ourselves a round of applause, and you can even do a football dance. We are truly amazing. So tonight we are putting the spotlight on the good. Studies show emotions are contagious. Rather than spreading the flu, let's spread a can-do attitude and show what we are accomplishing. Just think about all the images in the slideshow. It is not bragging to tell what you and your organization are doing. It is a necessity. How can we become aware of the good if we are silent? People need to know where to turn for help and how to get involved. Being invisible has dire consequences. Therefore, each of you has a flashlight as a reminder to be the light and shed the light on your mission and what is good. The flashlight is our gift to you, plus 4 questions are attached, such as what can you do in your daily life to accomplish the positive? Or how do you and your organizations thank volunteers? Some of you have used these questions tonight to help you meet new people and find new resources. For those of you who haven't, there are questions in your folder, and use it as a tool and a way to connect with others in a meaningful way. One of our challenges as society is we are taught not to talk to strangers. Yet, if we don't design ways to enable communicate and to talk to each other, how can we be aware what individuals and their organizations bring to the table? Creating a positive attitude of inclusion and respect requires each of us to view each person as a gift. Every person brings something. It is your job tonight to deliberately sit next to someone you don't know, find out what they are doing, and the experience that they're creating for good. Unfortunately, I recently had to fill out a form that asked, who are the important people in the audience? My response was, everyone. We hope you will copy these ideas and techniques that you learned tonight. People come up to me all the time and say, Marge, I stole your idea. You cannot steal things that are given to you. And this committee has given you incredible resources. Finally, we would like to leave with a few messages for you to keep in mind. Don't let your frame of mind frame you in. Optimism is a learned emotional intelligence and requires reframing how we look at the world. Just think how asking yourself what went well today rather than what happened changes your brain. Or another question that I like is, what do you find perfect in the imperfect? Isn't that good? 2, don't call it a dream, call it a plan. In your folder, in order to make that idea a reality, we have a list of ways to be positive and a calendar. Our hope is that you will put Accentuate the Positive on your daily to-do list, and you have a calendar to make it happen. The third is, it's hard to start the next chapter of your life if you keep reading the last one. And finally, if you want something you've never had, you need to do something you've never done. In any case, our hope for you this evening is that you will leave in a positive frame of mind, inspired by the good you see in others. You will gain the skills and insights to help make your dream a plan, and that you have a can-do attitude, which is necessary in order to turn the page and move you and your organization forward. Thank you. So it's now my great pleasure to introduce Shirley Satterfield, my good friend and a longtime member of our Community Works Planning Committee and a force for good in our community. Shirley is going to introduce our keynote speaker. Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you, Marge. Ooh, look at all these people. Okay, this is participatory, so take your flashlights and light them up. And those of you who are old enough, you'll remember this song, so sing it along with me. You've got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Very good. So make sure you go home and sing that to your children.
Great job.
Good evening, everyone.
Great remarks.
When you walked into this room, you all brought positive energy, and that feeling will continue throughout this conference, even when you go home. To continue to energize us this evening, I am proud to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Randal Pinkett. Dr. Pinkett graduated from Hightstown High School. Oh, I have to say this first. Dr. Pinkett was born in Philadelphia. However, he is a New Jersey native who graduated with academic honors and athletic awards from Hightstown High School. He continued his academic career at Rutgers University, graduating summa cum laude with a BS degree in electrical engineering. He was the first African American from Rutgers to be a Rhodes Scholar. Dr. Pinkett studied, that's okay, you clap. Dr. Pinkett studied at the University of Oxford, earning a master's degree in computer science. He continued his academic journey at Massachusetts Institute of Technology, graduating with a second master's degree, this one in electrical engineering. Also an MBA degree from MIT Sloan School of Management, and a PhD in Media Arts and Sciences from MIT Media Laboratory. Dr. Pinkett is an entrepreneur who is a co-founder, chairperson, and CEO of BCT Partners, a multi-million-dollar management, technology, and policy consulting firm in Newark, New Jersey. He is also a partner in Blackwell PCT, a joint venture with Blackwell Consulting Services. Dr. Pinkett is a much sought-after inspirational speaker, on business creations, careers, and he has authored 3 books. 1, Campus CEO, the Student Entrepreneur's Guide to Launching a Multi-Million-Dollar Business. No Money Down CEO, how to start your dream business with little or no cash. And Black Faces in White Places, 10 game-changing strategies to achieve success and find greatness. He is a community servant who volunteers and serves on several boards, focusing on community development, affordable housing, and technology innovation. He is married to Sahara Pinkett and is a devoted father to his 10-year-old daughter, Amira Leslie. I could take 15 more minutes to tell you about Dr. Pinkett's many accomplishments and acknowledgments. However, we want to listen to his positive message. As one who has known him as Randy, Randal, now Dr. Pinkett, I am so proud and honored as his high school guidance counselor to introduce our keynote speaker, Dr. Randal Pinkett.
You did a great job.
You did a great job.
You did a great job. Good evening, everyone. Let me begin by thanking my high school guidance counselor, Shirley Satterfield, for that introduction. Please give her a round of applause. And let me also give my thanks to Marge Smith, who gave incredible opening remarks. It's a tough act to follow. And for her leadership in pulling together all the volunteers and the teams to make this event possible. Thank you, Marge. So I could go on Shirley Satterfield, but I was told by Marge I got to keep my time within my time. So just know that I love this woman and that she is like a second mother to me. We grew up in the same neighborhood. My family knows her family. Her daughter babysat me. So, I mean, we're talking like family. I could go on, but thank you, Shirley, for the introduction. God bless you, and thank you. For those that are so inclined, really quick, we have a hashtag of Princeton CW18. So please feel free to pull out your phones, your tablets, tweet, Instagram, Facebook Live, Snapchat, Periscope, whatever your social media flavor is, go ahead and get on social media. And then the organization is at Princeton CW. I'm at Randal Pinkett with 1 L. Now, before I get into my remarks, let me say this. I run a company, BCT, that works extensively with nonprofit organizations. So I speak from the heart when I say that the work that you do as volunteers and staff and board members and executive directors and leaders is work that I appreciate, that I admire, and that I encourage and that I celebrate. 2 of my favorite quotes: service to others is the rent we pay for the space we occupy on earth. And then second, volunteers are not paid, not because they are worthless, but because they are priceless. So I say to you, if you're here this evening, that your game is tight. You have worked day and night. You have seldom been wrong. You have almost always had to be right, which makes you like a bright ray of light, or perhaps a rising star about to take flight. In fact, I'm here to say that you are simply out of sight. Why? Because you've proven over and over and over again you can overcome any plight. To obstacles and barriers, you break through with tremendous might. And to sore eyes in our communities, you are a very welcome sight. That's why you keep rising and rising and rising like the wind beneath a kite. So I say to you, what a guy named JJ said on a show called Good Times, you are dynamite. Dynamite. So the theme for this conference is Accentuate the Positive. And I want to talk to you for the brief amount of time that I've got, Marge, on some positive mindsets that accentuate the positive. You heard a bit about my background. Hightstown High School, proud graduate of this community here in Mercer County. Rutgers University, proud graduate of Rutgers University. Yes, indeed. Shout out to the Scarlet and Lady Knights. Rhodes Scholar, MIT, serial entrepreneur 5 times over. So I've been blessed. Let me be clear, I've been blessed. Blessed to have had many opportunities, but what's been most valuable for me has not been the things that I've done, although I'm very proud of things that I've done, but rather the ways that I think. And I don't take credit for how I think. It's been instilled in me by my parents, by my guidance counselors, by my teachers, by my role models, but there are particular ways that I think that I've found to be particularly helpful. And so I want to speak to the following theme: the 3 essential mindsets to compete in the 21st century. The 3 essential mindsets to compete in the 21st century. Now, before I talk about the 3 mindsets, I want to talk about 3 trends that set the stage for the mindsets. 3 trends this audience is intimately familiar with. The first trend is the economy. That we are living in challenging economic times still in 2018. You know, like I know, that since 2008, when we had the greatest recession since the Great Depression, that nonprofit funding, philanthropic giving, individual donations, public sector grants are all not what they used to be. It has affected nonprofit programs, services, and our ability to serve those who are in need of what you do. We have seen the downfall of several long-standing multinational corporations amongst our midst. Started with Enron, Lehman Brothers, Circuit City bankruptcy, GM bankruptcy. Even my former employer filed bankruptcy. However, the implication of this challenged economy, and I'm sure you all will nod your head on this, is that we are all being asked to do more with less. You follow what I'm saying? Those who can figure out how to do more with less will be competitive in the 21st century. Those who cannot will not. You can either accept this, or you can move to the 51st State of the Union, the state of denial. The second trend, technology. From CDs to DVDs to MP3s to PSPs to HD TVs, from iTunes to iPods to iPhones to iPads. Sometimes I wish that I had some time for peace and quiet to get some sleep. He said, I heard that. You've seen how technology has transformed the nonprofit sector, from how we fundraise, to how we do outreach, to our websites, to how we gather data, to how we evaluate our programs, to how we engage with our stakeholders. It's transformed everything that we do. The sum total of this trend of technology is that we are witnessing what I describe as hyper-accelerated change fueled by technology. Everything's happening faster, everything's happening quicker, everything has to happen immediately. When I graduated from Rutgers, I took my first job with AT&T, and back then we ran these commercials that were meant to be futuristic. And we would say things in the commercials like, have you ever sent a fax from the beach? Have you ever paid a toll without stopping? Have you ever read a book from 1,000 miles away? It would fade to black and say, you will. And the company that will bring it to you is AT&T. Well, think about it. We have all of that today. You can go down any toll road and not pay. You can read a book on the internet from 1,000 miles away. Send a fax from your phone from the beach. In fact, the only thing that didn't come true is that AT&T didn't bring any of it to you. That's the one thing we miss with all that futuristic thinking. But in this era of hyper-accelerated change fueled by technology, 2 things are certain. First, the only thing you can count on is change. The second thing is the only thing you can count on is change and more change. The only constant is change. Therefore, those who can keep up, those organizations who can keep pace with hyper-accelerated change fueled by technology will be competitive in the 21st century. Those who cannot will not. The third and final trend is diversity. Let's get this right. Hold on. Is diversity. Okay, here we go. Now we got it. Is diversity. We are living in an increasingly diverse society. It's reflected in this room. Our children see it in their classrooms. We see it throughout our country, the way that our country is diversifying. So-called minority groups are projected to be the majority of our country by the year 2042, about 26 years away. In fact, those groups are already the majority in California. They will be the majority in New York and Florida in less than 2 decades. They are the majority in Texas. And today, 70% of new entrants to the workplace are women and minorities. And today, babies born today, including New Jersey, are majority minority. The sum total of this trend of increasing societal diversity is that those of us who see ourselves in roles like yours, we are all required to work and interact with people who are not like us. Those who can work with people who are not like them comfortably, effectively, will be competitive in the 21st century. Those who cannot, absolutely will not. The sum total of these three trends, the economy, technology, and diversity, are not temporary shifts, but fundamental changes in how our society functions. I've got news for you, Toto. We are not in Kansas anymore. These trends give rise to new opportunities and new challenges, but most importantly, the need for new mindsets, new ways of thinking, positive ways of thinking that accentuate the positive. In response to a challenged economy and doing more with less, we must all embody what I call and what others call the entrepreneur's mindset. I'll break that down. Second mindset is in response to hyper-accelerated change fueled by technology is the innovator's mindset. I'll break that down. And then third and finally, and then I'm going to go to my seat, is in response to increasing societal diversity, we must all embody the global citizen's mindset. I will break that down. The first mindset is the entrepreneur's mindset. To be clear, I am an entrepreneur. I've written books about it, but I'm not talking about starting a business. I'm talking about the way entrepreneurs think, an entrepreneur's mindset. In other words, entrepreneurship is not just something you do, it's a way you think, and I would argue a defining mindset for the 21st century. So what are the characteristics? I'm glad you asked. First, creativity. A clever or inventive approach to whatever you do. Second, resourcefulness, knowing how to make something out of nothing. Third, courage, the belief you can achieve whatever your mind can conceive. Fourth, resilience, the mindset to overcome any challenge. And then fifth and finally, passion, boundless enthusiasm for whatever you do. When you embody these 5 characteristics, creativity, resourcefulness, courage, resilience, and passion, then you think the way entrepreneurs think. And I would argue that you don't have to be an entrepreneur to be entrepreneurial. That you can be an entrepreneurial executive director, an entrepreneurial volunteer, an entrepreneurial staff person, an entrepreneurial community activist. It's a way of thinking that you bring to the work, not the work itself. And so, if I listen closely to these characteristics, I believe that you, as nonprofit leaders, as community leaders, as volunteers, it is a mindset you naturally must bring to the work that you do. In the midst of a challenged economy, when we're asked to do more with less and be creative and be resourceful, somebody out there knows what I'm talking about because you've been able to allow your organization to survive since 2008. If you're around today, you've done something right. In fact, and the reason why is because you embody the mindset. Somebody out there made it through school on nothing but ramen noodles. Anyone? Somebody out there remembers driving a car with no air conditioning, no heat, no hubcaps, but it still worked. Somebody out there remembers growing up on turkey and cheese sandwiches, no turkey and no cheese. Someone said a wish sandwich. The point being, when you embody that mindset, you can overcome the challenges of any economy and any circumstance. So how do you make the mindset practical? Let me break that down really quickly. 2 ways. First, there was a study I came across for the last book I wrote, where I interviewed dozens of accomplished individuals, principals of schools, executive directors of nonprofits, corporate CEOs, prominent clergy people, well-known journalists across multiple sectors. And in conducting this study, they looked at those who reached the upper echelon of their industry and those who plateaued and compared the 2 groups. And if you compare those 2 groups, what you'll find is that those who plateau have more promotions than those who reach the upper levels. Now think about that. That's counterintuitive. Stated differently, those who reach the top have fewer promotion than those who plateau. Now, how do you explain that? So, in writing the book, I interviewed folks, one of whom was, at the time, the chairman and CEO of McDonald's, who I did not know at the time was an African American. So I went to a conference. He was a speaker. I approached him afterwards. I said, dude, you're black. He said, dude, so are you. So here's an excerpt from the interview with Don Thompson. Let me get out the way here. And here's his interview excerpt. It says, I believe you have to enjoy what you do. You have to really enjoy doing it to the extent you look forward to coming in every day. You can advance to a point very quickly where you find yourself miserable and totally unhappy, and you'll come right back down the rungs on the ladder. What I've been able to do and been blessed to do is I've enjoyed every single phase. As a matter of fact, there have been several positions I wanted to stay in longer when I was asked to move on to the next position, and I declined. I'm going to come back to that. So you have to enjoy it. You have to have passion around it in good times and bad. What is Don saying? Don is saying that the way you reconcile that paradox is those who reach the top, and I'm not here to say that reaching the top is the end-all, be-all. I'm just trying to make a point. But those who reach the top, when given the opportunity to move forward, they ask the discerning question, do I bring passion to the work? If I don't bring passion, there's no point. No passion, no purpose, no passion, no pursuit. Those who plateaued did not discern if passion was a factor and said yes to everything. I'll take the promotion. I'll take the opportunity. I'll take the relocation, not realizing that when you don't bring passion, you don't bring your best work. And that passion becomes infectious for you and for everybody around you. And so, in the words of the great scholar and philosopher, Nicki Minaj, to live doesn't mean you're alive. Passion keeps us alive. Nikki got deep. See, you thought I was going to go somewhere with that. But more importantly, second quote from the great entrepreneur and media mogul, Oprah Winfrey. When you love what you do, you will never work a day in your life. Yeah. I'm going to tie back to this in a second. Second way you bring the entrepreneur's mindset to being practical. Watch these pictures real quick. I got to move fast. Watch these pictures. That is Kathy Hughes and Alfred Liggins, the founders of Radio 1 and TV 1. That is Sher Wang, H.T. Chow, and Peter Cho, founders of HTC. They make cell phones. That is Leah Brown. No, that is from My Carol's Daughter. Lisa Price and Steve Stout of My Carol's Daughter, cosmetics and products. That's Leah Brown and Robert Stanley of A10 Clinical Services. That is Anita Roddick and her husband Gordon Roddick, founders of The Body Shop. What do you notice across these pictures? I got to answer it for you. I don't have time to ask you. You see diversity, and most importantly, you see a team. You see a team. I'm about to get real less diverse, but I'm going somewhere. Real less diverse. Here we go. Bill Gates and Paul Allen, founders of Microsoft. Jerry Yang, David Filo, founders of Yahoo. Steve Jobs, Steve Wozniak, founders of Apple. Larry Page, Sergey Brin, founders of Google. Mark Zuckerberg and Walter Savrin, founders of Facebook. Or was it the Winklevoss twins and Divya Narendra? Actually, we don't know who founded Facebook, but it was a team, we know that. And then lastly, the founders of my firm, BCT Partners, Dallas Grundy, Lawrence Hibbert, yours truly, and Jeffrey Robinson. Again, the team, and the team. If you've read the book Good to Great, you know that Jim Collins, who wrote also Good to Great for the social sector, talks about the principles of great leaders. He compares good companies to great companies, good organizations to great organizations, and he talks about the level 4 leader, the good leader. The good leader thinks what then who? What should we be doing, and then who should be on our team to help us get there? The great leader thinks the complete opposite. First, who should be on my team? Who should be on my bus? Who should be in the room? And only then do we figure out what should we be doing. By a show of hands, who knows who this is? Show of hands. Work with me. Work with me. Okay. Show of hands. Who knows who this is? Show of hands. Give me one hand. Give me one hand. I got 0 hands. So quick story to tie it all together. Oprah's passion, helping people. Her gift, communication. Goes through her career. She won the Miss Black Tennessee Beauty Pageant. Got a scholarship to Tennessee State University. Got noticed by a radio show producer, and she got her first radio show, did so well, got a local television show, did so well, got a national television show, The Oprah Winfrey Show. Building up her career, feeding into her passion, doing well at what she loves to do, inspiring others. Gets to a point where she's like, there's a lot of things going on here that I don't like to do. I don't love to do. I don't even do well. Accounting, finance, legal, operations, administration. I don't like it, don't love it, don't want it. So she finds a guy named Jeff Jacobs who loves and has a passion for all that stuff. Jacobs becomes a part of her who. Only now with the who, the question is now, what can we do? Jacob says to Oprah, Oprah, I got an idea. What's the idea? Jeff, I think we can own the show. Oprah's response, go online. You're crazy. Nobody owns the show. I can do the deal. So what happens? Jacobs does the deal. Oprah goes from the host of the Oprah Winfrey Show to the owner of the Oprah Winfrey Show, from a well-paid millionaire to the first black woman billionaire who owns her own school in Africa, her own magazine, her own radio network, her own television network, her own production studio, and the only person I know who puts herself on the cover of her own magazine every month and still sells copies. That's a bad woman. That's a bad woman. And then Jacobs is now what I hope to be one day, wealthy and anonymous. No one knows who this guy is. Like, who is this guy? I'll tell you who he is. He's paid. That's who he is. But the point, punchline, don't conform your team to the strategy, conform your strategy to the team. No matter what volunteer, no matter what staff person, no matter what leader, no matter who you're working with, think about who's in the room and then think about what can we do together. The entrepreneur's mindset, the tie together, says if you want to do more with less in a challenged economy, do two things. First, bring passion to do more than you could ever do before, overcome challenges. Second, bring the best team you can, and you will be able to produce more together than you could ever do apart. Summary quote, and I got to move on. The best executive, the best leader, the best volunteer is one who has the sense enough to pick good men and women to do what needs to be done and the self-restraint to keep from meddling with them while they do it. Next mindset, innovator's mindset. What was the trend? Technology. What's the mindset? The innovator's mindset. Thank you. I got my deacon and deaconess here. All right. What is innovation? Innovation is the introduction of something new, a new process, a new technique, a new approach, a new program, a new initiative, a new fundraising idea. What is the innovator's mindset? The innovator's mindset says have a healthy acceptance of failure as the only way to innovate. A healthy acceptance. Now, notice I say healthy. There is such thing as an unhealthy acceptance of failure. That's called being a failure. So, 3 principles of failure. First, failure says nothing about you. We all fail. I see heads nodding. Second, you learn more from failure than you do from success. If you've lived long enough, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Third, this is a quote from Winston Churchill. Success is nothing more than going from failure to failure with undiminished enthusiasm. Which means the connecting dot between failure and success is perseverance. If you're willing to go at it over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, you will innovate. But how many of us are willing to do that? Quick example, show of hands. Who knows this product here, WD-40? Show of hands, work with me. All right, story of WD-40. Founded in San Diego by a staff of 3 people, a team, wanted to create the ultimate line of rust prevention solvents and degreasers for the aerospace industry. The way you prevent rust is by displacing water. When water is present, rust forms. Displace water, rust doesn't form. Through a process of trial and error, they finally came up with the formula. WD-40 stands for water displacement perfected on the 40th try. It gets better. Who knows this product here, Formula 409? Tell me you see where I'm going. And I'm not making this up. I got it off Wikipedia. And their website. Formula 409 got its name from persistence. 2 scientists, a team, wanted to create the ultimate cleansing agent. It took them 409 formulas to finally get it right. 409. I'd have given up on the 10th formula. I'd have thrown in the towel on the 408th formula. 409. What's the lesson? In your work, don't let a setback hold you back, because a setback is a setup for a comeback. There's no pain, there's no gain. No risk, no reward. No test, no testimony, no trouble, no triumph, no problems, no persistence, no disappointment, no discipline, which means sometimes you have to go through in order to grow through, which means if there's nothing ventured, there's nothing gained. If you don't believe, then don't bother, so go hard or go home, because failure isn't falling down, failure is staying down. Now I'm done. So to make the mindset practical, and I'm going on to my last mindset. First, you have to take risks. People aren't afraid of taking risks. People are afraid of the consequences of taking risks. If you remove the consequence, say it's okay to fail, you unleash your and their innovative potential. It's a great example of the company Intuit, makes TurboTax and QuickBooks, where they had a failed product, and at the company meeting, they brought the team on stage and gave them an award for failing. The company chairman said, it's only a failure if we fail to learn. Second thing you do is you fail fast. You don't get extra credit for failing long. Taking a long time to fail. You don't get bonus points for that. You fail fast, and most importantly, you pivot faster. You get to the failure fast through experimentation, trial and error, exploration, experimentation. If it doesn't work, you keep it moving, try it again, get it right. If you're still wrong, you pivot until you get to the innovation. What our sector needs more than ever today, in the midst of what we're facing and in light of hyper-accelerated change fueled by technology, is more innovators who are willing to take risks, fail fast, and pivot faster. Summary quote, I gotta move on. To win without risk is to triumph without glory. I'm wrapping up right now. Right now. Watch me. Last mindset. The trend, diversity. The mindset, global citizens mindset. I believe the single greatest threat to our democracy are the growing divides in our society. Yes. Say that again, please. The single greatest threat to our democracy is the growing divides in our democracy, in our society. The haves and the have-nots, the rich and the rest, the wealthy and the poor, Democrats and Republicans, agnostics and believers, gay and straight, CNN and MSNBC and Fox News, and then the deepest divide that is tearing our country apart, those with iPhone and those with Android. The danger of these communities of the like-minded that we all find ourselves ensconced within is that we can become more prone to cast stereotypes of those who are not in our community of the like-minded. And I believe that as our society is diversifying, we're all just diving deeper into our communities of the like-minded and nullifying the very diversity that is the greatest asset of our communities and our country. So the mindset we need, the global citizens mindset, and I'm accelerating my message here, is one that seeks to develop global and diverse relationships with people who are not like you, who don't look like you, who don't come from where you come from, who don't speak your language, who don't eat your food, who don't share the same perspectives you do. Only when we can have dialogue across lines of difference that is substantive and meaningful and beyond the superficial can we begin to break down the walls of ignorance and misunderstanding that are plaguing our society pervasively. So to wrap up, I promise you, this is how I wrap. This is how I wrap. If I had to tie it all together into one word, the word would be commitment. Today, at this conference, a paradigmatic shift from embracing these mindsets someday to embracing these mindsets on Monday. The entrepreneur's mindset, to be able to do more with less. The innovator's mindset, to keep up with a hyper-accelerated pace of change. And the global citizen's mindset, to go outside of our comfort zones, to connect with people who are not like us. My summary quote, on which I will close, is the following: that we are not meant to see through each other, but to see each other through. So let's recommit today, black and white, young and young, native-born and immigrant, women and men, to these mindsets and not seeing through each other, but seeing each other through. Marge, I'm done. God bless you. Thank you for having me. You're coming to get me. I know you're coming to get me.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right.